Hello, I am Jacqueline London, a Nicholls State intern, and this is my hand hygiene and hand safety presentation for my quality improvement project at Ochsner St. Mary Hospital. The first topic we'll discuss today is hand washing. Hand washing is important because it helps to prevent the spread of germs as one is moving throughout the kitchen. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, washing hands can reduce diarrheal disease by 30% and reduce respiratory-related diseases by 20%. This is important not only for the food service staff, but also for the patients in the hospital. We want to do our best to reduce the risk of creating further health complications for the patient population. Although we may be aware that it's important to wash our hands, we may not be aware of how often we should actually be washing our hands through the production stage of creating meals for the patient line as well as the retail line. So when should you wash your hands? You should wash your hands when you first enter the cafeteria at the beginning of your shift. You should also wash your hands whenever you've left and you're re-entering the cafeteria, when you're switching between tasks, when your hands are soiled, after touching your hair, your face, or your clothing, after picking up anything from the floor, and after using the restroom. At times while working, when our hands are soiled, we may be tempted to just wipe our hands off with a towel and start the next task. It's important to remember at this time, wiping your hands off with a towel isn't sufficient and that we should go to the hand washing station and wash our hands properly. We wash our hands after we pick something off the floor because the floor holds germs in itself, and we've walked all through the floor with the bottom of our shoes, and we want to make sure that none of the germs that's on the item that we pick up off the floor then gets into the food that we're serving to our patients. Next, we'll review how to properly wash your hands. Although it's very common to wash your hands, not everyone does it the same, and not every way is as effective as how we'll discuss it today. So first, you want to make sure that your hands are wet and that you wet your hands with running water. You don't want to wash your hands in a bucket or a basin because that'll just hold the germs and you can't get clean hands in dirty water. Next, you want to lather your hands with antibacterial soap. Once your hands have soap, you want to scrub them together, palm to palm, then scrub hands to wrist, the back of your hands, your fingertips, under the nails, as well as between the fingers. The complete hand washing process should last 20 seconds. Feel free to count while you're washing your hands to ensure you're meeting this time limit. After you're done washing your hands, make sure to dry them well. Drying your hands thoroughly is important to reduce the amount of germs that are spread once tasks are started again. Wet or damp hands can spread and attract more germs through water particles, and this is as stated by the CDC. The following link, Food Safety Coaching Hand Washing, will bring us to a YouTube video that will show us how to properly wash our hands.
It is very important to wash your hands properly to help stop bacteria from spreading. This is how you do it. Wet your hands under warm running water and add soap. Rub your hands together. Wash the back of both hands, include the fingers. Interlock your fingers and rub again. Rub around the thumbs and the fingertips. Rinse your hands and dry thoroughly. Turn off the tap with a towel and throw away.
The next topic we'll discuss is the use of cutting gloves. Although I'm aware that many of us use knives on the day-to-day basis, whether while at work or at home, using a cutting glove is a precautionary measure to reduce the risk of an employee cutting themselves while preparing food. Some may feel that they are careful enough when using a knife and don't need a cutting glove. The cutting glove is an extra precaution because there's no way to tell when an accident will occur. There's no way to know when a knife will slip or how deep it may cut you, the person using the knife, or someone around you. A cut from a knife can be so small that you only need a Band-Aid, or so severe that you may have to be rushed to the ER. Using a cutting glove is a precaution taken to reduce the risk of severe injury while using a knife. What is the proper way to wear cutting gloves? One could put on a cutting glove and layer it with a vinyl glove to protect the glove from becoming soiled and to protect the food from becoming contaminated from any germs that may be on the glove. One may also choose to wear a clean vinyl glove under the cutting glove to ensure inside the glove does not become soiled, layered with another vinyl glove so that, as mentioned before, the glove and the food do not become contaminated. The next topic we'll discuss, and the final topic we'll discuss, is the importance of changing gloves while in the kitchen. Gloves are worn to decrease cross-contamination of food from touching food items, equipment, unclean surfaces, cleaning supplies, or personal garments. Patients are already in a compromised health state, and as food service workers, we want to eliminate the risk of worsening health conditions. Oftentimes, when one is cooking, they may realize they need other ingredients or utensils that someone else may be using, or that they have to walk through doors and open doors to gather. Once we touch new surfaces and new food, it's important that we change our gloves so that we don't bring germs from one item back to the food that we're preparing and potentially serve that to patients. So when should we change our gloves? We should change our gloves between tasks. We should change our gloves if they have a rip or a tear in them. We should change our gloves if we're working on the same task, but it's taking longer than 4 hours. And we should change our gloves after we've touched our face, our hair, or our clothing. Even though we may feel as though we are clean and that our uniforms are clean, naturally throughout the day as we complete tasks, our clothing will pick up germs throughout the kitchen. Changing vinyl gloves is a simple task and can be done just by pulling off your old gloves and placing on new, clean vinyl gloves. When changing into new gloves or putting gloves on for the first time, you want to remember that your hands should be clean. If your hands are soiled in any way, make sure to visit the hand washing station and wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap in the manner that we described at the beginning of the presentation. To review the topics discussed in this presentation, I've created a hand hygiene and hand safety pop quiz. The first question is, how long should you wash your hands? Hand washing should last a minimum of 20 seconds. Number 2, name 3 times when you should wash your hands. You should wash your hands when you're entering the kitchen. You should wash your hands when you're switching between tasks. And you should wash your hands after you've touched personal garments. Number 3, what is the correct way to layer cutting gloves? One can layer cutting gloves by placing on a cutting glove, then a vinyl glove, or they can wear a clean vinyl glove, layered with a cutting glove, layered with another vinyl glove. In closing, it's important to remember that all of these steps are taken to reduce the risk of illness in employees, retail customers, as well as the patient population. We need to remember that we should be washing our hands and changing our gloves consistently throughout the day to limit the chance of cross-contamination. We also want to remember to be wearing cutting gloves when we're using knives in the kitchen to reduce the risk of someone having an injury due to using a knife or knife slipping. There's no way to know when an accident may occur. If there's any questions about hand hygiene or hand safety, feel free to contact me. And a fun fact for the end of this presentation is that over 1 million deaths could be prevented each year if everyone washed their hands properly. Thank you for listening to my quality improvement project on hand safety and hand hygiene.